Evening, everybody. It is 6:02 on this Thursday evening, the 7th of March, and this is your closing comment. It is video number 2102. So we're getting up there. Maybe one of these days I'll get it right. Okay, so let's start right off with Nvda. Um, During regular trading hours, it moved to a new high well over 900, 926.69, up 39.69. And then in the later extended hours, it has moved up to 938.71, up 50.70, or 6%. Um, it's been an amazing run, but I'd like to bring to your attention a similar situation that happened quite some time ago, but it was a pretty major name and it was a pretty major situation. And that was the December 1998 um, recommendation on Amazon, put out by Henry Blodgett, who it turned out was getting inside information and became a felon and is no longer allowed to be involved with brokerage. And he put it out when the stock was about 250 or so, and he was calling for 400. The next day, it closed 268, up 46, at which point he put out another um, recommendation and said that that was his by the end of next year, not one day. And the stock promptly marched its way right back up and hit that 400 target in less than a month. Now, the reason I bring it up is, it just seems like there is no place to stop this NVIDIA. Just like at the time, it seemed like there was no place to stop Amazon. Um, 18 months later, Amazon was 29 and a half. So, you know, the buy the dip mentality will really start to lose its luster when there's nobody left who doesn't already own it. And so just being cautious, not saying it's going to happen again, not saying it's not. But I will tell you, this is a very extreme name and a very extreme set of numbers and expectations. And, it's fun to watch. It's especially fun to watch if you're not involved, as I am not. Okay, so today we had a nice little rally. The Thursday morning numbers, being claims and such, came in pretty much right on the money. Productivity and unit labor costs came in moderately tame. The trade deficit was 67.4 billion versus 62.2 billion last month. And that was all the market really needed. We had a couple of earnings reports, most notably Kroger, with a really nice beat. The question of whether or not they're going to be able to buy Albertsons and combine is kind of up for grabs, whether or not they'll be able to do that with the Justice Department and the Biden administration's seeming anti-merger attitude. But The thing is that Kroger, even with Albertsons, is dwarfed by Walmart, who is the biggest grocer in the world. Okay, so this afternoon, we had a bunch more earnings. Costco, with a miss on revenues and a beat on earnings. It closed 785.59, up 12.35 before the numbers. After the numbers, the stock went down to 745 and then came back up to currently 760.05, and that's down 13.19, plus, of course, that other $12.35 that it was up at the close. Gap Stores GPS closed 1931, up a quarter. Big strong beat with decent guidance. Stock immediately moved up to 21 and a half. The last is 1990. That's up 84 cents or 4.4%. DocuSign with a huge beat. The stock had closed 53.56, up $1.09, immediately up to 62.95. Came back to the real world and is currently 57.63, up 5.20 or just short of 10%. On the miss side, MongoDB. Um, this one closed 412.01, up 251. They beat top and bottom and again gave poor guidance. The stock immediately collapsed to 344 and then came back a bit. Last is 373, so it's 30 off the low, but it's still down 36.40 or 9%. And in case you missed it, there's a bipartisan bill to limit TikTok, not necessarily to ban it here, um, but definitely looking for it to come out of the Chinese company ByteDance that owns it because of its ties with our biggest geopolitical foe. Um, but it closed at 512.29, up 16 and a half or 3.3%. Um, I guess the question is, as long as she knew what was brewing and the fact that it was probably going to have no teeth, it's going to take a couple of days for our best trader in creation, Nancy Pelosi, to file whether or not she owns it. Okay, and she'll probably be out of it by then anyway. Um, let's take a quick look here. The chart on the screen, very disappointing. I really thought we were going to make some headway here, but this is the nat gas, and it was down 13 and a half cents today. We don't own any anymore. I sold the balance of the options at 94 cents. They cost 47, so we made a ton of money on it. We sold some well over $1.50, and a bunch more at $1.37. So we probably made about 200% on that trade, and we replaced it today with some Apple calls. We bought them at 172. They immediately turned and ran up to 2.25, came all the way back down. The stock made a new low on the day and closed on the bottom there. But I will tell you that it is the third day below, not even close to the Bollinger Bands, and I believe that we're going to see quite a bounce there. As far as some of the other favorites, Bitcoin up another 605, 68,365. The gold was up another $7. Oil was down 20 cents after being down about $1.20. Market internals were fairly favorable, 5-2 up in the NYSE, 3-2 up on NASDAQ. 3 to 2 up on a day where the index moved 242 points or over 1.5% is not great internals. And volume again fell down to 5 billion. So we went from 6.3 to 5.7 to 5.2, now to 5 billion. So we're kind of getting back into that quieter trading. All right, folks, I'll be back first thing in the morning. And tomorrow morning, of course, we have the monthly jobs number, non-farm payrolls. So we'll have to see what that looks like. Oh, also, consumer credit, another new all-time high. So they can tell, anybody can tell you, any retailer can tell you how great business is and how the consumer has continued to spend. Um, that will come home to roost also. Okay, folks, in the morning.